And you have attracted some big names to Kansas City.
Yes, we have.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, work. You said I wasn't working hard enough.
No, the college wanted you to work harder.
Oh, the college wanted me to work harder.
Yes.
It is work. It is work to get people like that. And it's also being aware of them before everyone else is aware of them. We had Itzhak Perlman when he was in his 20s. That was a long time
And was
ago.
that his debut
No.
performance? No.
I mean, he was living in the United States, so that was not any kind of American debut. With Pavarotti, that was his first American recital.
All right. So how did you hear about Pavarotti?
Well, I say American recital. He had done a few performances at the Metropolitan Opera, and I had heard one of those. And I immediately began to try to get him for a performance. He didn't even have an American management because he just wasn't doing anything in the United States. So I eventually had to track down, and this is why I say it's work, I had to track down his public relations manager and say, how do I arrange a recital with Pavarotti when there is no one in the United States who represents him as a manager? And he said, I'll see what I can do about that. And so he decided to become Pavarotti's manager. Oh. Which was a new career step for him. And so together he and I worked out that first recital. And
there came the big guy.
Yes.
But there's a story about his white napkin that he carries.
White handkerchief.
Yeah, a handkerchief.
Handkerchief.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, there are a couple of stories about that first performance. That was the first time he used a white handkerchief, which he then continued to use in all of his performances. It was a trademark, but he used it that first night because he was so nervous and was perspiring so much that he needed something to wipe away the perspiration.
And so he called for something, and what? Someone handed him that?
No, he did have a handkerchief
he did have
in his pocket.
Okay.
Yes, yes. He used his own handkerchief. But one of the reasons he was so nervous is that performance almost did not take place. It was to be on a Thursday, and he was to perform at the Metropolitan Opera on Monday night, a few days before, and he was too sick to perform. And his manager called me on Tuesday, 2 days before the performance. He was supposed to arrive on the plane that day. His manager said, no, he's too sick. He is not coming to Kansas City today. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know how things are going. So then the day before the performance, Wednesday, he called me. He said, he still can't sing today, but we're going to fly him to Kansas City tonight. And then when he wakes up tomorrow, he decides he can sing, then he'll be there. So I met him at the airport. I took him to, he was in the presidential suite at the then Muehlbach, and he played he played a scale on Harry Truman's piano and tried to sing up and down the scale. And I looked at him and he said, so-so, we'll see. So then, of course, the next day, he felt that he could sing, and he did sing his first American recital. But it was pretty scary for me.
So that brings to mind about those "the show must go on" moments.
Yes.
Tell us about some of those experiences you've had.
Well, Marilyn Horne, a great opera singer. She was in town for a performance on a Saturday night, and I had a meeting of the then Kansas City Arts Council. I was treasurer of the old Arts Council. This preceded the present Arts Council. And I had a meeting in Joan Dillon's home that morning. So Marilyn woke up that morning and felt she could not sing. She had no voice. She couldn't even speak. So she tried to reach me all morning long, and I was not home. In mid-afternoon, I was to pick up her pianist, Martin Katz, and take him to the college for him to work on the piano and familiarize himself with it. And so I thought when the meeting was over in the morning, well, I'll just stay in town and see a movie instead of going back to Liberty and then driving back from Liberty to Kansas City. So I was impossible to reach until I went to the hotel at 3 o'clock that afternoon. And her pianist came down and said, we tried to reach you earlier so you could do something about this, but Marilyn has no voice. She can't sing. And I said, well...
What did they expect you to do about it?
I don't know at that point. Well, actually, if they had reached me in the morning, on an earlier occasion, I had flown in an artist on the day of the performance and still had a performance that night. But it was too late by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So her pianist called up to her room and she said, let's wait. I think I'm a little better now. Let's wait. So we waited until it was time to go out to, because it was a half-an-hour drive from downtown Kansas City to Liberty. We waited until it was time to leave, and she said, maybe I can do it. So I drove her to Liberty. She came out, and to the audience she said, I don't know if I can sing or not. I'm going to try this. If I have to stop in the middle of the performance, I hope you will understand. And then she sang magnificently all evening long. It was wonderful, just wonderful. And the audience was thrilled and gave her a standing ovation, and it was the show must go on kind of story.
So have you had any resistance from some of these artists trying to reach them and they say, Kansas City, why would I want to come to Kansas City?
Well, I'm happy to say that after 42 years, we have a reputation in the national.
Well, in the beginning.
In the beginning?
Yes.
Yes, it was difficult in the beginning. They didn't know who we were. They'd never heard of Liberty, Missouri, because at that time, all our performances were on the college campus. Now they're all in downtown Kansas City, but then they were in Liberty, and as you say, people didn't know where Liberty, Missouri is. Why should I go to Liberty, Missouri? But as the years passed, we did get a reputation for quality, and the violinist Yehudi Menuhin, as I was driving him to the campus, he said to me, well, I hear your hall has very good acoustics. And I said, well, a lot of people think that. How did you hear that? And he said, Birgit Nielsen, the opera singer, told me. So artists do talk to each other, and so word did spread that we had a good series and that we treated artists well. I think that's an important part of it, is treat the artists well.
Why do you think the series is so successful and Kansas City has embraced it so well when others who have tried to do a similar thing have not been as successful as you have?
I think quality is the important factor. You have to let an audience know that what they're going to hear and see is of high quality. Because we introduce, that's one of our strengths through the years, is introducing new people that the audience may not have heard of before. And that was true of Pavarotti, for example. But of course, once they'd heard him, they knew he was good, and they had confidence in the quality of the next people that we would be presenting.